All right, it is Thursday, October 17th, 2024. We are two sisters and a brother, a relationship podcast. So we're here to start our podcast. We will do a traditional check-in. We will start with Miss Andrea, who's having a problem with her shoulders. They're twitching, but hopefully they'll get better. So how are you doing, Miss Andrea?
Fine. All is well, I really can't complain. Everything is great. I started my swimming lessons today, so I'm very excited about that.
So talk to us about that. We'll come back to you because I'd love to hear more about your aquatic journey. Uh,
Mhm.
exactly. So Cheryl Lynn, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dr. Williams.
What's been going on that's been different for you?
Nothing different. I had some guests this past weekend. So I went out skating, but I didn't actually skate because my friend broke her arm when she went skating. So
Oh my
um,
Lord.
I bowed out of that. I can't afford to break any of my limbs.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's it. How have you been doing?
Very good. I have not broken any limbs and I already know how to swim. So
Oh, yes, I know.
yeah. So Andre, talk to us about your aquatic journey and what made you, after 74 years of living, decide to go forth and to start swimming?
It is because I said that there's some things I want to accomplish, and swimming is one of them, as well as learning a second language. So I've been looking around for swimming lessons, found some were expensive, some were inexpensive, and I just kept putting it off. And then I put my name in this lottery for the New York City Parks Department, and I got selected. So they said, we will give you free swim lessons.
Wow. And how many
So
lessons do they give you?
they give you eight, you get eight lessons. So it's an 8 week class,
Mhm.
and it's in Manhattan,
In the
near my
Central
old
Park,
neighborhood.
in the Central Park Lake, I understand. No?
Yes. And then I go hang out in the zoo after I swim in the Central Park Lake.
Wow. And
Yeah.
how was the instructor? So you're in week one or week two?
This is week one. Today was the first day from
Wow.
1 to 2 o'clock. So it was really interesting. I had a great time. And I'm excited. I met, 5 new people. It should have been a class of 25, but only five came. And so we
The,
all
the
went
other, the
swimming.
other, were the other 20 drowned? What happened to,
Yes,
what happened?
exactly. So it was just amazing experience. I'm so glad I did it.
That's good. Congratulations. I'm
Yes,
proud of
Thank
you.
that
you.
is good, Dree.
Good. Good.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
when you go cruising next time,
I will be
nice,
swimming.
yeah, man overboard, yeah, that won't scare you.
Hmm.
She's not
Maybe
going in the ocean,
maybe I'll be a swim instructor.
only in pools.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And don't feel bashful about, having going for another eight. Eight be wonderful if you got it under your belt, but you may need a little bit more. So don't be bashful at here we go with Shawnee, whatever her name is. Save me if we fall in the water. Uh,
I will,
that's
of course.
but that's good. Good. Now this is
Yeah.
a relationship podcast, so you did that by yourself.
Yeah.
But you said you're relating with new people. You have five new friends plus the instructor,
New
right?
friends. And next week I'm going back and I'm bringing one of my friends a pair of goggles because she didn't have any. So I'm going to bring her a pair next week.
Wow. Where did you get the
Nice.
goggles? Where did you get the goggles from?
Amazon.
I was saying. So you bought them for her.
It wasn't for me. I bought two pairs for myself, but I'm going to bring her a pair next week.
Oh, you're extending. Wow. Wow. And you
Hmm.
same size. You guys both have the same size head.
But my
So,
head
Excuse
is
me,
bigger because
excuse me. They have adjustable straps
yeah.
on
Trust me,
goggles.
for a head like Andrea, you need you need.
What about your head? Nothing about your head, right? Nobody wants to talk about Dr. Williams' head. Nobody. That's messed up.
Wow. So we were talking as about a potential topic for this week about the question: Are you ready for a relationship and what that means? So, what are
yeah.
your thoughts about how do you know you're ready for a relationship? What are some of the criteria that we would ask ourselves to know whether this is the right time?
I think having the ability to compromise,
Hmm.
having the ability to articulate your thoughts, um, have an ability to understand that we all made differently and we've been walking our own separate paths for a very long time. And so, in order to get along with someone, you have to definitely compromise and understand that, we see things differently.
Hmm.
I like when you said about 2 weeks ago the need. So I think you're ready when you want to rely on somebody and you want them to rely on you. So it's sort of a need in both directions.
So I think, Andrea, you bring up a good point. A lot of times we
I
start a
always do.
relationship. I'm sorry, what?
Yes, I always do bring up a good point, but go ahead.
I'm sorry, what?
Moving
Oh my
on.
gosh.
Um, you bring up a rarely a good point, but I think you brought up a good one here. That often people want a relationship, but are not willing to give up anything, to give up any real estate, any territory. So what you're saying is that part of it is you got to be willing to share. You got to be willing to compromise.
Hmm.
But I guess the question is, do you think life prepares you to compromise, or does life and some of the experiences get you to want to shut down rather than open up?
Yeah, I don't think life prepares us to compromise. I think life, and it depends on how you grew up and what order you were in your home. So all of that stuff just makes you the person that you are today. But hopefully along the lines, you got some tools to understand that life doesn't revolve just around you. And you have to make some provisions for other people
Yes,
and some
I
and
agree.
some of their challenges. So I
Yes, I
think we
agree
all
with
have to learn that.
you. Yes,
You
I
don't
agree with
expect
you.
that so
Go
much. Go ahead, Cheryl.
No, I was thinking as you were talking, I agree with everything that you're saying. And I also think that you need to have the space in your life to take on another relationship. So what's going on in your life is pretty settled. You're doing the things that you need to do, and that you're ready to have that space to add someone else to enter your life, and that you're able to compromise, as you said, and some sacrifices will likely have to be made, and that you're ready for that. And how we get ready is come on to the relationship podcast on Thursday nights at 8 p.m.
We'll get you ready.
And
Yeah,
we get you ready.
for 8 weeks, a free start.
Hmm. That's right.
Hmm.
So what do
Mhm.
you think, Dr. Williams? How do
I
you
think
how do you know?
I
How
wrote
did you
down
know
what
you
you
was
said.
ready for marriage?
I'm sorry, what?
How did you know? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry.
You're asking about marriage?
Yes, how did you know you was ready for marriage?
Because of all the things you said. I was ready to sacrifice, ready to compromise. I recognized that I needed another person. I
Mm.
had the space. I was willing to share. So I was able to go through these things and check off each one of them. And I think often we can check off some, but not all. But that
Mhm.
means that you're going to have some success, but not total success. So I think when you're really ready to say, you know what, I'm willing to go out on a limb and trust this person and trust myself, because it's not only you have to trust them, you have to also be willing to trust yourself,
Mhm.
and just recognize that it's always, no matter what you do, going to work is a gamble. Going to take a swimming lesson is a gamble. So whatever we do is there's a risk involved with it. So hopefully it's a calculated risk, and you have no regrets. And I think often we do stuff and we have regrets. I try to do stuff, whatever it is, with the understanding if they say thank you, they say thank you. But if they don't, I still will, still do it. And I've learned that if you're going to loan money to somebody, if they pay it back, they pay it back. If they don't, they don't. But if you feel that if they don't pay it back, you're going to want to hurt them, then maybe you should loan them the money.
There
So
you
I think,
have it.
yeah. So I think again, when you're able to check off as many boxes in the affirmative, but all you need is just that one. And it's often looking at the life domains. A lot of times our finances are good, and spirituality is good, but you know what? We're not doing some of the things we should be doing in our health. You just need one of those areas to steal away all the others. And I think often, your ability to say that I need a person, that's going to steal away your ability to sacrifice and compromise and share space. And so again, we have to realize it's not the majority that's going to determine your outcome. It's the minority that's going to determine the outcome. So again,
Do you think it's healthy to say that? Like,
what?
I need someone. Do
Well,
you
yeah.
think okay.
I think it's healthy. Now, reality is it's important to watch what their response is, because a lot of times they can flip that and turn it on you because they're unhealthy. So I think it's nothing wrong with you declaring your need, but it's just be responsive. Look at their response and be intuitive to how they dealt with that. To say, I was still talking to someone and they said, I appreciate. Um, that you gave me this opportunity, and I responded back, I appreciate that you allowed me to give the opportunity. So it goes both ways.
Mhm.
So I think that's the piece, is just trying to look at, sometimes people will say, someone said I love you and the other person didn't. That's a problem.
Oh,
um,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I have someone who's extremely close to me that won't say it back.
Mm.
really.
Yeah, and I say it to them all the time, but they refuse to say it back.
Hmm.
And you
And I,
continue
and I
to
think,
say it.
and why haven't you have you posed the question right then and there? Can we just take a pause for a minute, whoever that person is? I just said something to you, and I just expected a response to it, and you didn't respond. Can you help me understand what that's about? And I know
Yeah,
that puts you.
that yeah, I don't think I've said it, right? And then they won't say it back. And so I was with a couple of friends of mine. I said, I'm telling you, they won't say it back. And so we called back and I said it again and they refused to say it.
Yeah. See,
Mm.
there's a for running meetings, there's a thing called Robert Rules of Order, and it's
Right.
how they run generally government meetings, and you have to make a motion and someone has to second it. But the part I love about Robert's Rules of Order is you can call, there's a thing called calling the question. When you get tired of people talking, you raise your hand and you say, "Hey, excuse me, I want to call the question." And then again, someone has to second it, and the group has to vote on. But what that's saying is, we've debated enough. I need to call the question, and I think you have to call the question. I've told you I love you 792 times. I need to call the question, and I don't care. I'm not looking for a second to the motion. I am calling the question. You need to answer, because I'm not that desperate for love that I'm going to profess the 794th time. It's not happening. So you have to realize you have to stand up for what you stand up for, and to let a person get away with that. So are they going to profess it when you're gone? If something happens to you, that's when they're going to, they'll stand up and, oh yeah, I love Andrea. What? I don't want to. Who wants to hear that?
No one
So I would call the question and then be prepared
for the answer.
for the answer and live with the answer, because
Mm.
often people will do what they can get away with. And if they've got this far in your life by not telling you that they love you, but also on the other side, be prepared. It's not always about you. You'll hear the story, and this is the hardest thing I get trying to get people to understand. There's a story behind why they won't do it. And once you understand that story, you appreciate it, and you may hear that they told their grandmother, "I love you," and then the next day she was dead. So they believe in their mind, if I tell someone I love them, they're going to die. And they're like, "Sir, you're 62 years old. Do you think you have the power of like they
Yeah.
should?" And you were 12 when your grandmother died. We've had 50 years on the other side, and you still think if you say you love somebody, they're gonna. So when you were 12, but a lot of times people stay stuck in those moments, and so they really, you think it's about you, but you may find there's a story behind it that explains like why is it so difficult. So again, one other example is there was a couple that went to a retreat that I was doing, and one of the rules of the husband was there is no ironing in the house. You can iron in the in the on the patio, but you cannot iron in the house. And what they eventually started doing was dry cleaning. Everything was dry cleaning. And they brought this up in the retreat, and I said, "Ma'am, would you like an answer as to why that's the rule?" And she said, "Yes." And, "Sir, would you like to give your wife the answer?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Well, because I left the iron on when I was 7 years old and I burnt the house down." And
Mm.
they were married for 50 years. And she was like, why didn't you tell me that that was the reason? So again, there's often a story behind the behavior. And once you call the question and say, we're not going on another day without this, for me having an understanding, you walk away like, I thought they were special, but I understand why they're special in that particular.
So when
Sure.
you gonna call a question, Dre?
Let me call when I get off.
Okay.
Good.
Good. Good.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
And I don't know if you don't like with my long-winded answers about parliamentary procedure and all this other stuff, but often you gotta set it up. You gotta
Yeah.
explain to them, give them a disclaimer that we're going down this path because enough's enough. And I don't want us to have these regrets. I think often you see people torn up because of the level of regrets they have, and you want to, whatever happens tomorrow, you just want to be able to be comfortable in your skin that, I said what I had to say. I have no regrets. And I remember when my sister Barbara passed away many years ago, and I was fine. And I'm a person that's definitely afraid of death, but she died in my arms. And I really wasn't so upset about that because we had a good relationship and we were able to get to a good spot. But when I went out at her funeral, I walked into the funeral parlor, and all of my colleagues from Pennsylvania had traveled into New York to be at this funeral at nighttime. Got me wondering, like, who was back at the office minding the business of the agency. But that's what I broke down. I didn't break down, seeing her, but it was just so that often that's what you have to realize. It's the unresolved stuff. I was resolved with my sister. I was okay with that. But again, the relationship and the outpouring of support, I wasn't so comfortable with that. And that's where and so I walked into the room, I saw them, I turned around and went back out. And they're like, where did he go? Well, he went to, compose himself. But again, it's that
Yeah.
unresolved stuff that's so important for us to take the time to figure out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's true. So I also someone had asked me a question. They wanted me to pose it, and they want to know, is it fair, or how do you handle um when somebody who was close to you, when okay, for an example, Cheryl and I are very close. She introduces me to her friend Maria, and now Maria and I are now close, and she no longer has a great relationship with Cheryl, but Cheryl feels some kind of way about it. Like, how do you handle things like that? Like, is it okay, or how would you tell Cheryl to deal with that?
Sure. But my feeling is relationships go through stages, and just looking at the three of us, there are times in which I'm more closer to Cheryl, I'm more closer, really whoever has the money. So if Cheryl has money, I like her. If Andrea has money, I like her.
Exactly.
But
Whoever's paying for dinner.
exactly, well, that seems to be always me. So I guess that's why.
That's why I'm on this podcast.
But I think it's important to understand that relationships go through cycles.
Mhm.
And the other piece is that I think a lot of us believe there's just not enough love. And I try to encourage people to understand I have enough love for a lot of people. I can love Andrea and I can love Cheryl,
Mhm.
and it doesn't take away from one or the other. But I think for a lot of people, they feel, and a lot of it goes back to their family relationships, their moms and their dads, and how that went down. But I think a lot of them often feel that there's just not enough love to go around. And so I think it's those preliminary conversations to understand. Yes, I may look at an example. I started this relationship with you through your brother. All right, that's how I met you, and you and us, the two of us, have a far stronger relationship than I have with your brother. I still have a relationship
Mhm.
with your brother, but it's nowhere like this. But reality was there was a period of time when we were, people, thought we were twins. I remember one time he broke out the window on a school bus trying to punch somebody, and he cut his hand up, and he was bleeding. And they're like, we have to take you to the hospital. And he's yelling and screaming, I'm not leaving until my brother gets here. And they're like, "You're gonna die. You're gonna bleed out waiting for him." So again, I recognize that was that season as teenagers, but it's been different as time goes on. So I think it's important to just share with people. I have enough love to go around, and again, our relationship is going to change as time goes on. But just enjoy the time we do have
Hmm.
together. And it's not, don't compare against other people and what we have. The question is, whatever we have, is it meeting your needs? Is it working for you? If you're coming to tell me that, hey, our distance isn't working for me and I'm feeling a certain way that isn't jealousy, then let's talk about it. But a lot of times what people are feeling is they're just jealous. They just want what they used to have. They want what other people have, and it's really not what they need.
Exactly. I wouldn't, if that was me, that doesn't bother me if you built a rapport, a friendship with one of my friends. I don't look at it any kind of way. If that's what you chose to do, and you guys have understanding, and they're respecting you, and you're respecting them, I don't have no problem with that. Those are things that would not bother me. However, that I could see it bothering someone who is not secure in who they are, whether they have jealousy, don't want to share the friendship with their sister, or whoever it is the other person is, and that's immature to me.
Mm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think you definitely have to be
But as an
secure.
example, when we talk, a lot of times we do it as a conference call. Um, so I think that's, something else. There's some work that goes in.
Hmm.
Often we have to realize there's some stuff we have to do. So people aren't feeling a certain,
Right.
way, is
Right.
make sure as many people can be included as possible.
Exactly.
And I've joked with you guys, and I'll call you up and like you're on the phone talking to each other, like, excuse me, is three-way broken or something?
No, you're not joking. You're serious. And we do call you
Well, we
sometimes,
won't
and you
even.
don't answer.
You don't
Yeah,
answer the phone.
yeah. We
You
won't. We
don't.
won't even get into our original three-way phone conversation problem from over 40 years ago. We won't even get into that. But that's
Yes, let's not.
not say
Because
we
you'll
did.
say the trigger word, and then I'll be triggered.
Exactly. Oh,
It's
that's it.
worse, you or her. I don't know who I should trust.
Exactly.
You may say the wrong thing, and she's telling me she's not going to say anything. That's not working
And then
out.
she lied.
I
She
had to
lied.
get therapy because of that. You guys
I
put me
know
in a
it's
really bad
traumatic.
situation.
I'm sorry, Dre. And I was doing good, but
Exactly.
that
One
one
word.
word,
Bingo.
I associate that word with prostitution. That's why.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, just so our listeners understand, I use the word gallivanting, uh, and Cheryl was. I thought I was talking to Andrea, but Cheryl was on the line, and I didn't know that. And I said, "Well, if Cheryl stopped her gallivanting, and out of the clear blue, Cheryl says gallivanting. Oh Jesus, Mary and Joseph. So, but I cut Andrea
Stop.
and Cheryl off for
So I was just
15
couldn't even
years
believe
after
it.
that, because of
You
that.
couldn't believe it, Dre?
Couldn't believe it because I begged you not to say anything. I said, if I do this call, don't say anything.
I know. I was trying. I was trying my best, but I was like, "Is he calling me a prostitute? He's calling me a prostitute. I know he knows I'm not prostitute." Like I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it.
And I never equated gallivanting with
Right,
prostitution
right,
in my mind. So I was like,
right. I only in my mind. Andrea probably didn't either.
yeah.
What the
Well,
hell is going
she
on?
wanted to go gallivanting after that call. She wanted to go gallivanting. Just go. I want to get away from these people. Are
They go
crazy.
gallop up
Yeah.
on a horse and leave town.
She's not. She's not ready for all that. She doesn't want to be
Oh, yeah,
involved
but
with all
she's
that.
not built like that. She's not built
No,
like that, right?
she doesn't want that.
Not at all. Can't handle the stress.
Yeah, that's too much for
And
Dre.
I guess another side to the conversation is, are you ready? Like, when you're ready, how do you find other people that are ready? So I think sometimes people are like, oh, you know what? I did my homework. I've, made myself better. I'm learning to swim. And can I can I find someone else who's like
Find a
ready?
good swimmer.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then you find somebody who says, well, I like swimming, but I like to sit on the edge. I just really want to get my feet wet.
Hmm.
I really just want to float. I'm not really trying to do swimming anymore in my life.
Hmm.
Swimming is overrated. I'd rather just sit here and watch you. So then
Hmm.
you have to see if that's a good fit.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're trying to swim and learn how to do the backstroke and go into the deep end. And this person is saying, hey, I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines, but you're a nice person, but I'm going to
But
sit here and watch you.
and what's going to happen is they're going to do that with swimming, and then you're going to say, "Hey, let's go out dancing," and you know what they're going to say? You dance, I watch.
I'll sit
The
down.
list is going to just go down.
Right.
There's just so one of the things that I think that brings up is asking a person, like, what are you scared of?
Mm,
And I think is that often, a lot of times, what that the answers that you got about sitting out, dancing, is like they're afraid to be embarrassed. I was tonight, I was watching a sail away on Carnival. And it was interesting. You have all these people down on the deck outside the pool, and they're doing the slide, and they're just, and then all these people, a lot more people around the top, just watching the people do the electric slide. And I think that that's often those are the two people, the watchers of the
and the
electric slide
doers.
and the doers. And honestly, I realized when I watched it, I said, you know what? I don't know the electric slide. So I would be one of those people sitting at the top watching the people having all the fun. And the question is, if a person said, I need you, I want you to learn the electric slide, would you be willing to do that? If a person said, you know what, I'd like for you to get in the pool and swim with me, would you be willing to do it? And and address those things you're afraid of with me. Um, and if the answer is no, I think you should read something into that because we're all afraid of something. But if the goal is to be in a relationship where you can hold on to someone, a lot of times people say, oh, it takes two. I think that is the most ridiculous statement. It doesn't take two. It often takes one person with a really good grip, grabbing another person, getting them moving, and then eventually they move in tandem. But it doesn't often take two. It takes often a strong person, and where you in a relationship, they'll be strong in family, gatherings. Another person may be strong in putting making the food. But in
Mm-hmm.
reality, hopefully that there's that yin and yang where
Mm-hmm.
we compensate each other. But again, I think we also have to just have the conversation: is um, what are you scared of?
Right.
And hopefully the list is not overly long.
Right.
Some people say they're not afraid. I've done that before. I don't want to
That's
do
the
it anymore. I went dancing before. I don't want to go dancing
But something
anymore.
would have turned you off. Andre, it's like having spaghetti. If you don't want spaghetti, something happened. It was, the tomatoes were whatever, the noodles were not. There was something that turned you off. The reality is you're going to say no because there's something you don't like about it.
You have a reason. You have
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
reason, but we just don't know the reason. That's why communication is key. Like Dr. Williams said, you have to ask the questions and, talk to the person and try to, see if they're meeting you where you are, or is there a place right next to it that a compromise could be made and could be met. But I don't think a person should sacrifice all of what they do when another person doesn't do it. That's their choice, and your choice is to do it. I think you should just go forth,
Sure.
and then that's not the person for you.
And I think you bring a good point. You don't want to lose yourself in
Right.
trying to get with someone else. It's really a blending of the
Right.
two.
Yes, blending of the two. That's
Yeah.
right, Dr. Williams. Blending
Wow.
is a good word.
Mhm.
Right.
All right, as we get ready to wrap up our conversation this evening, any afterthoughts, feelings, takeaway? I wrote down here sacrifices, compromise, needs, space, learning to share. Again, we talked just now about being scared and having a conversation there. And again, Andrea is going to pose that question. Call the question. I need to say, hey, again, we don't want to wait for some sort of tragedy to have the question called, and then the person will get up. I think they love me, and I think I love them. We should know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I encourage anyone listening, if there's someone that you want to make sure that they know you love them, then pick up the phone tonight. Text message, and I would really encourage you pick up the phone. I think we do a lot too much of the texting. Just say, you know what, I know it's 11:35, but I just want to let you know I love you, and hang up the phone. And then they'll call you back and say, what the hell was that about? Are you going to kill yourself or something? But seriously, let people know, and don't let another day, another hour go with the ambiguity. Just to let someone know that they matter. So, Andrea, we'll start with you. Your closing thoughts, comments, feelings, the statements you want to make.
Just want you guys know I love you. I love you, Dr. Williams, Nat, Nathaniel, all those people. Cheryl, I love you.
I love you too, sis.
Amazing.
I
This is
love
just
you
a
too.
beautiful thing. Deshaun, Oh my gosh, I love you so much.
Oh, Jesus.
I love that you call in. Well, you don't call in too much, but I love that you tune in every week. And I'm honored to have you watch us and give your thoughts and be a part of this. And I appreciate you, spending your Thursday nights with us. And I love all the people out there,
Mhm.
love thy neighbors. I don't love all my neighbors. Some of my neighbors I do, but
Okay.
that's a whole nother story. But I'm not getting into that, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a
What are you
great show.
scared
I'm
of,
learning.
Andre? What are you scared of? That's what you need to ask yourself when it comes to your neighbors. Jesus
I ain't scared of my neighbors. But anyway.
Sure
And
not.
Wow, Cheryl,
I
your
love my
thoughts.
swimming lessons. So you, Cheryl, next.
um, I'm gonna say give people their flowers while they're still here, because
Mhm.
once they're gone, there will be no flower given.
And it was funny, Cheryl, that you say that we had the gala that you and Andrea went to, and I
Mhm.
sent to the church that worked with us these flowers. And again, the staff picked them out, but
Mhm.
we gave 4 flowers, one for the choir, one for the pastor, the executive
Mhm.
assistant, for the first lady. You would have thought it was a damn funeral. These flowers were, but as you said, it's nice to let them know that
Yes.
they're appreciated now. And one of the things that I took away from that whole experience, let people know singularly. Like we said, you know what, the pastor needs to know. Thank you so much,
Right.
pastor, but also the first lady separately as first
Mhm.
lady, and then as executive assistant again.
Yeah.
Um, so those all three, and then we did clump the choir together because that would have been too expensive to
Right.
break out 12 more. But again, I hope that they appreciate it. They seem to get the point. Um,
Of course, they did, especially individualizing your thank yous and your appreciation for support. That means a lot to a person. It would mean a lot to me. You telling me, thank you for, coming. Thank you for showing your support to what I'm trying to do. That means a lot.
sure,
It
sure.
means a lot.
All right. So again, we've been given a lot of good words tonight to work with. Andrea will update us on her phone call tonight. We will tape it and have it transcribed, videotaped, and so we'll be able to share it with you. But it's
Right
again
now,
a
while I'm
wonderful.
on the pod, I can do it right now while I'm on the podcast.
Yeah, we don't want to take a risk there. We don't want to take a risk.
It may go left, but I don't know.
Exactly. That's what we want to end on a high note.
Don't
We want
want
to
to
end
take a risk.
Oh boy. All right, so we have the end of our show this week. I forgot to put up our graphic about emailing us and commenting and sharing and subscribing to the show. We have a wonderful editor, so I'm sure she'll edit that in to this part of the show. We'll be back again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with two sisters and a brother.